Hi, welcome to the series of videos on MCP and all related technologies around MCP. This is one of its kind video. You will not find such a video anywhere where we are going to demonstrate the internal communication between the MCP server and MCP client using the SSE transport. So before we proceed, welcome to Techie Talks AI. I'm Sri from Shogini. On this channel, we bring you hands-on demonstrations and insights into the latest tools and trends to help you get started with ease. Don't forget to subscribe and be a part of our journey into the future of technology. Let's have a quick understanding of what we are going to see. MCP has two components. One is MCP client. This MCP client actually sits along with the agent that we are building. Okay, so all the MCP clients are tools offering its services to agents. So they are all connected and applied locally along with the agents. Okay, so now, so these are called hosts, the LLM agentic application, or it can be even desktop application like Cloud Desktop or Cursor ID, etc. And the clients, they maintain one-to-one connections with corresponding MCP servers, and together they offer tools to the agent. We all know that agents will require several tools to support its functioning. We saw the booking system, etc. Okay, so now MCP offers a unified solution, and it is from Anthropic. So what we are going to look at today is this transport layer. Okay, so this can be STDIO based or SSE based. STDIO means this server will also reside in the same machine along with the client. So client will actually execute the MCP server. But that is not the production scenario that we want when we build our own SaaS applications. You want to separate your MCP servers on your hosting servers and offer the endpoint so that the clients can connect to your MCP server. And for that, we will need to use SSE transport. And this is what all are finding it difficult to understand. So recent addition of Pydantic MCP library, whether it is STDIO or SSE, using them has become very, very simple. But the problem is, internally, we don't know how it works. So this video is going to reveal that secret. Okay, so before we proceed, let's look at the transport layer. So this is the transport layer. You can use STDIO like I said, and HTTP with SSE transport. Okay, so this is ideal for local processes. So SSE transport is what we are going to look at in this video. A connection lifecycle contains these steps. Okay, so this is what we are going to reveal practically how you can see these interactions. So first step is client will initiate a request, and then server will respond back. Then client will notify for initialization, and then we are ready for the connection. And remember, SSE communication is one way, that is from the server to client. Again, the steps involved are initialize, then server responds with protocol and version capabilities, then client responds saying that initialized, and then normal message exchange begins. Okay, so with this much in mind, let's see what we are going to do. I am going to launch an SSE server, very simple server. This is from the Python SDK of Model Context Protocol. But just to demonstrate, I have added several debug lines so that we know. So all these info lines have been added by me to demonstrate the interaction that is going on behind the scene. Okay, so server is running. Now what we will do is, another terminal, we will launch the MCP inspector. Okay, so this is also from Model Context Protocol. Okay, so inspector is running. Inspector is a very nice tool using which you can debug your MCP server. So we are already running the MCP server, and this is the endpoint, SSE endpoint of our MCP server. I am clicking connect, and it is connected. Now if I click on list tools, it will list the tools, and this is a very simple MCP server which has just one tool, that is fetching a website. So if you click on it and give a URL here and click the run tool, that tool will get executed. Clear? So we have the MCP server running, we have the tool, the inspector running. There is no need for this inspector for this demo, but this is to show you that there is an active MCP server using SSE protocol that is running. I will terminate the inspector. I will clear it. Now first, communication. We will not speak about this health check that I have added. That will be discussed in the next video. In this video, we are only going to focus on the interaction between the MCP client and the server. Okay, so here I'm using curl, which is a command line utility to access HTTP endpoints. I'm calling the servers /SSE endpoint. Okay, I'm pressing enter and see what happened. We got the available endpoint listed here with a session ID, which is a unique ID given by the MCP server. You can ignore the ping. So this tells that our subsequent calls, we can use this to send messages to the server. So in this terminal screen, we have established an SSE connection, which is a one-way connection. That is, messages from the server will keep coming to this client on this screen. So what do we do on the next screen? This session ID, I am going to copy it here, save it in a file. I will explain to you why I am doing this. And I am going to run send requests shell script. Send request shell script, what it will do is, it will read the session ID from the file that I have saved, and here it has the base URL to the MCP server /messages endpoint with the session ID. And then here we have a function called send JSON RPC. This will use this endpoint and pass the JSON payload. So far there is no complication. See here, first step is to send the initialize request. Clear? And then after initialize request, we send the initialized notification. So, okay, that sets the stage for MCP communication. And then here we are beginning the executions. Here we are calling the tool called fetch and passing a URL. Clear? Okay, so let's look at the SSE screen. Remember, this is the screen where we initiated the SSE communication, and that screen is still on. That is, connection, SSE connection with the server is active. This is where we got the session ID. Now another terminal we are calling send request. See, press any key to send initialize payload. So there is no change in the SSE screen, and there is no change in the server screen as well, apart from the health check. Okay, so I'm going to press any key. See, sending initialize request, and it says accepted. So now see, the SSE connection is responding back. So when we communicate with the /messages/endpoint, we don't get the reply back there. Reply comes in a streaming fashion through the SSE connection. Okay, so the request went through the /messages endpoint. Clear? Now press any key to send initialized notification. I am pressing and it's saying accepted. So if you see here, when we send initialized notification, nothing happens on the SSE connection. No message comes on the SSE connection. But we get the accepted response back through the same /messages/ So far is clear. Now when we press enter with the same session ID, we are calling the messages endpoint with the tool call payload. Okay. See here, tool call parameter fetch and the URL. See here, the response came through the SSE channel. Okay, so all the commands go through post method to the /messages endpoint of the MCP server. All MCP server responses continue to come back through our SSE channel. So that is the secret that I want to highlight, and I don't think you will find any other video that is going to demonstrate this. So if you have any doubt, please feel free to come via the comment section. Okay, so coming back to the message. So there is a /SSE endpoint on the server. There is also a / in small letters actually, small messages endpoint. So these are the two endpoints the server offers. Okay, so first communication from client to server happens with client invoking this SSE endpoint, and that will reply back with the session ID, and with the session ID it will keep communicating with the messages endpoint, but server will be replying always through this SSE endpoint. Clear? Before we conclude, let's look at the server. So this is the MCP server sample provided by the Model Context Protocol, Python SDK library. Okay, so here the endpoint, see here, SSE is the endpoint which we will need to call once to get the session ID, and with that session ID we will continue to call this messages endpoint. Okay, and this server will always respond back through the SSE connection. So that is it for this video. Thank you for your time. Please continue watching the MCP series. We are going to build complete end-to-end development of our own MCP-based SaaS solution, which you can deploy it on your own hosting servers. These videos will provide a strong foundation for you. So please remember to like, share and subscribe. Bye-bye.